Blue Jays family, what's going on everybody? Sif checking in and welcome back to another Blue Jays video. Everyone, the Toronto Blue Jays took on the Baltimore Orioles in the final game of a 4-game series. And with this game, not only did the Blue Jays win with a score of 3-1, but also with this win, they tied the Baltimore Orioles versus Blue Jays series at 2 games apiece. Just off those two factors alone, I would say this is a pretty successful series for the Toronto Blue Jays. Because not only is Baltimore a really good team and a young team with that, and the fact that they're getting stronger by the season. But number two, in this series with the Blue Jays, nothing was given easy to the Blue Jays in terms of runs or anything else in between. So to come out with a series tie against the Baltimore Orioles, that just speaks volume to the amount of adversity and amount of skills that the Blue Jays has. And I believe that if they continue to play how they played with the Baltimore Orioles against the future teams, it is going to look really good for the Blue Jays. And of course there is some improvements to be made, but I believe that will be fixed as the season continues. So with all that being said, let's break down everything that went down in this game against the Baltimore Orioles, being game 4, and what the Blue Jays can expect to do in their future games against future clubs as well. Now right off the bat, this game being game 4 between the Baltimore Orioles and the Toronto Blue Jays was definitely a tight game, as I mentioned before. Not only because it was tough for the Blue Jays to get some runs throughout the whole game, but also you can really tell that the energy in the ballpark really was at an all-time high, especially given the fact that the previous 3 games were very wishy-washy. What I mean is there were a lot of external circumstances that played into whether the teams won and lost, and in this game there wasn't much more of that. It was just mainly who wanted it more. And based on all that, that's where our starting pitcher being Chris Bassitt really made his mark, because coming into this game he was super locked in and he really knew what to do to really throw off the Baltimore batters. Because if you notice throughout the whole game, not only did he make very interesting pitches, whether that be fastball, curveballs, or anything like that, but also, and they mentioned it in a commentary throughout the whole game, he would signal the back catcher for the Toronto Blue Jays whenever he pitched to hold the target at the very last moment, just to confuse the Baltimore players from deciding where to hit the ball. So you can really tell how much film and how much preparation he made going into this game, and rightfully so, because coming into this game today, the Toronto Blue Jays were on a 1-2 loss win record against the Baltimore Orioles in this series, and the last thing that the Toronto Blue Jays want is to go down 1-3 against the Baltimore Orioles in this regular season series. So to have Chris Bassitt come in and just make strikeout after strikeout after strikeout, and in a very dramatic manner, and get more confidence with each strikeout, it's definitely a good sign for not only him as a player going into the future games of this season, but also for the fan base, because Chris Bassitt is another player and another pitcher that we could use in critical moments, hopefully not in situations where we need an absolute win, but he could be another player for the Toronto Blue Jays that can help Kevin Gausman release some of that pressure that he has from being the guy that needs to save the Blue Jays, especially when we're in a pinch in whether it be a regular game series or the postseason as well. Now speaking of being in a pinch, there are 2 major players for the Toronto Blue Jays that really helped the team get out of a pinch in this game. And those 2 players are number 1, George Springer, and number 2, Tyler Heineman. Firstly, for George Springer, if you know me, you know that I'm very tough on George Springer, simply because coming into this Blue Jays organization, we all expected him to be a very important piece for the Toronto Blue Jays. And in fact, I believe that he could have been one of those top 3 players for the Toronto Blue Jays alongside Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette. Just like how we had Josh Donaldson, Jose Bautista, and Edwin Encarnacion around the 2015 era. In a similar fashion, I thought that George Springer could have been that player alongside Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette. But unfortunately for us as fans, he has been underperforming these past few seasons. So coming into this season, I expected him for one to reestablish his trust in the Blue Jays fan base, but number 2, he's another player that is going to be entering trade talks or contract talks, not this season but the season after. So to establish his rightful pay and things of that nature, he needs to have some games to really back up his claims, and I believe that this is one of them because not only did he do a lot to really help the Blue Jays on the baseball field, whether that be his hits or his defense, but off the baseball field he was being that leader for the rest of the Blue Jays teammates. And through his explanations and the way he was explaining how he plays the game of baseball, you can really tell that the angles that the rest of the Blue Jays teammates were using when they went to bat really were unexpected, and it's something that they could be implementing in future games of this season. So shout out to George Springer for providing that insight, and hopefully the Blue Jays continue to mix and match their strategies to ultimately come up with the best plan to win as much games as possible, especially those games against those high caliber teams. Finally, in terms of Tyler Heineman, man, oh man, what a special player he is. Because listen everyone, coming into this game, as I previously told, this game is very pressurized for the Toronto Blue Jays, especially given the fact that this series against the Baltimore Orioles was very wavy to say the least. And to have Tyler Heineman come into this game and not only hit the ball but create a home run for the Toronto Blue Jays, given all of that, not only does it speak volumes to his mentality coming into the season, but also it tells me that in those moments of importance, you can rely on him to be that unexpected factor that could really change the tide in any ball game. And he did that and more with this game, because through the home run, you can tell that something really clicked for him, and I believe that the home run that he had today will really install confidence into him, and he will be able to make more plays at a much less pressured pace going forward, especially given the fact that he was able to get a home run against a strong opponent like Baltimore. So shout out to Tyler Heineman for his home run that really iced the game and basically broke the camel's back for the Baltimore Orioles, and hopefully he continues to perform well and make some great plays for the Toronto Blue Jays going forward in future series and the rest of the season as well. So yeah, that wraps up my thoughts on Game 4 of the Baltimore Orioles versus Toronto Blue Jays series. And as I said before, throughout the course of this video as well as videos of the past, this game was a very pressurized game, as well as the series was pretty pressurized at that. Because not only did both teams want to let the MLB know what they're bringing into the 2025 season, but also for the Baltimore Orioles as well as the Blue Jays, both of them are in the same division. So to have a comfortable series and a leading series for both teams will definitely help them in terms of their push to the playoffs. And that is their main intent. But to have the series split in half is definitely a good sign for the Toronto Blue Jays, because it shows that we were able to hold our own against a very formidable team like the Baltimore Orioles. But with that being said, I really hope that the Toronto Blue Jays really watch film on this series against the Baltimore Orioles, because if we played with the same mentality that we played against the Baltimore Orioles, at the very least, if not better, I believe that the chances for the Toronto Blue Jays to make a really impact this season are going to be off the charts, and it's something that I really hope turns out to be the case. But we'll need to see how they do in the remaining series that they have throughout the course of the season, as well as what they do as the time goes on. But with all that being said, let me know in the comments below how you feel about not only this game between the Toronto Blue Jays and the Baltimore Orioles being Game 4, but also this whole series between the two teams as well. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video where we talk more Blue Jays or more sports in general. And until then, Civ signing out.